All Blacks came here in May 57. They came by bus from Dubbo, and it was drought, and all they saw was stony ground.
They flew from Sydney to Dubbo. They had a special bus lined up with a driver with a great sense of humour. And when he got to Nevertire, he didn't turn off at Warren. He pretended to drive through the village of Nevertire and around, and Nevertire did have an oval in those days, and he pulled the bus up outside and he said, "Okay fellas, all out, here we are." And the Nevertire oval was like a clay pan, not a smell of a bit of grass about it at all. But they took it in good humour.
I was reserved for the backs, like I said. It was one of the main things. It was the biggest crowds ever been at the Warren Oval. I know they had a big reputation of New Zealand boys. I think it was Ron Clark, one of the Clarks, he was a fullback.
1957, I think I was 11. Well, I'm sure I was 11. I can remember who the referee was because he was our next door neighbour, Angus Campbell.
Jay Stroud, fullback. Yeah. He was the fella that beefed me for the fullback's position to play the All Blacks, and I'm blessing him to this day. John Lord from Warren, and the reserves were Boyd Blackburn, B.
Clegg's from Tottenham and
Andrew Wass from Warren, and L. Bauer.
And Boyd Blackburn only made the reserves, eh?
Yeah.
Just looking at this New Zealand team, but the All Blacks, they haven't even got me down this reserve. Didn't even get a mention. So I was definitely there, so I've got the jumper somewhere to prove.
And the great John White, arguably the best loosehead prop Australia has ever produced, recalls the day he played against the All Blacks at Warren.
Well, this is Victoria Park at Warren, where we, in 1957, the combined Central West, Far West team played the All Blacks, and the All Blacks won fairly convincingly. Well, the All Blacks, they're pretty formidable. They're very, very hard to beat. In our day, we didn't find scrumming against them so onerous, but it was their driving, rolling forward play that was very hard to combat. Well, there's always the haka, and we didn't pay as much attention to it as the boys these days do by getting up in front of the All Blacks and try to stare them down. Nor did we get too terrified by it, because I said nobody ever got injured during the haka, except I often think that Perry Whipper might pull a face muscle during it.
When they got here, this was lush. Ian McKay and myself watered it a couple of times with pump on the river.
The whole club virtually, we ran water there 24 hours a day. And when those rubber hoses are wet and full of water, they weigh a tonne. So we would have anything up to 15 fellas moving each hose without turning the sprays off. We just kept the whole thing going.
I don't remember seeing Andrew Wass play, but I certainly remembered John Lord played in the game, and he was a good footballer, John Lord. He was number 8. We had a lot of strong players, and we had a very good countryside in those days. John Stanbrook, for one, he was the guy that was picked to play against the Springboks in 1956, and he had the edict from his father that he had to put in the wheat, so we'd have had tractors all over his place if he'd only told us, and we'd have had his wheat in 5 minutes, and he would have been remembered as one of the all-time great wingers had he played, but he didn't ever get past again.
It was a bit of a coach's nightmare the seasons we go through, because they'll think they've got a side organised for Saturday and get a shower of rain and everybody's on the tractors, so it becomes a little bit awkward for the coaches, but the clubs seem to survive, and every club in the comp's under the same pressure. So.